Dun 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 dun. Psych. Ma? Hold on. As soon as I was Fat ass. I think he's trying to talk to me in fucking um game chat. Well, hold on. This is going to shit already. What? Well, guys, I'm gonna start the fucking video. Try to turn up this audio as much as I can. So sorry if you can't hear it. If you can't hear it, uh, video will be deleted in 6 hours. Where is this? Check for audio. You guys don't even need to see the fucking what's it called? The screen, because sometimes it's just sometimes it is just what the fuck is it? Nah, whatever. Still screen. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it. Corpse. He's goaded. What? You know what? Hold on. I'm gonna use this other computer because I think it's louder. Fuck you. Switch room. Switch Rooney. Bitch Rooney. Quit being a little. No, chilling. Alright, makes sense. Damn it, I had to sign back in again. See, if I was a normal YouTuber and I didn't make live streams, I would have cut this shit out. But I don't know. This nigga is looking through my shit. Makes sense. Oh, fuck you. Okay. horror stories. Alright, here we go. This is the one. I think it's louder.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that my channel is primarily ran on stories submitted from my viewers to my email. There's been an extreme lack of stories that I can use recently, and it has contributed to my upload schedule being what it is. Whilst my health is a big problem and it does contribute to that, I can't upload without good stories. If you have a good story that you think could be usable on my channel, please email your story to corpsehstories@gmail.com.
Yep.
The
If
subject
you
of
have
the
any
email read
stories,
what kind
go
of
hit
story
them
it
up.
is, and also include somewhere in the email what alias you'd like to be credited under. I only want true stories and I do vet them, so please don't send anything otherwise. It really just wastes my time. Also, if you're new here from PewDiePie's video I was in recently, or any of the streams I've been in, welcome, and I'm really happy to have you here. That being said, here are 3 of the most upvoted Let's Not Mean stories from Reddit.
Alright, this is from Reddit. Number 1. Let's get going.
I grew up in Ohio in the 70s, and me and my childhood friend Joe were outside all the time we could manage it. Joe lived on a farm that bordered a pretty big forest, and my parents would drop me off in the morning and we'd stay in the woods all weekend. We'd basically only come out for school. We loved pretending we were frontiersmen. We'd build shelters, traps, practice making fire with sticks, the whole 9 yards. When we got to be in high school, we got this notion to pull a Stand By Me. This was based on the movie of the same name that had just come out. The idea was that we'd walk the railroad tracks out in the country, but instead of looking for a dead body, we'd find cool bridges to fish from and camp a little ways off the tracks. Of course we knew this was dangerous and we'd likely be trespassing, but we were kids. We had a lot of fun. We did find beautiful rivers, we discovered bridges no one went to, we fished, we hid from trains. At night we camped in woods just near the tracks and made small hidden fires. Nothing bad ever happened. It was idyllic. In fact, it was so fun we did it multiple times. Never had a problem. After high school, me and Joe went our own ways. We both left home, but always stayed in touch and always tried to coordinate visits so we'd see each other occasionally. Well, one summer in the mid-90s, it worked out that we were both in town for about a week. We'd do stuff with family in the day, and at night we'd either catch drinks at the bar or sit outside Joe's house around a fire and talk about the good old days. One night, me and Joe got to talking about our Stand By Me trips. Well, nostalgia and beer are a hell of a mix. And soon we decided to take a day, walk the trails, camp one night, and walk home. The day came and we started out early morning. We had my wife drop us off in our old spot where we used to start, right outside of our hometown.
Hello.
She thought this was absolutely crazy and made sure to mention it. When she pulled away, Joe suggested that instead of walking the usual route, we'd take the opposite direction, just to be adventurous. I mean, we knew the land well, and we had a map, so I gave a what the hell and off we set.
Inappropriate.
The day went fine. It was fun, and a little sad, but in a good way.
Time
We
out.
found a bridge, sat on the edge, smoked a joint, and moved
Hey,
on.
smoke the joint.
We had no fishing gear, but we brought some canned food and other stuff. Before night started to set in, we picked a spot to camp. It was a thick forest and
Bruh.
trees on every side of the train tracks, so you felt like you were in a tunnel. We had brought small hammocks to sleep on, but before we set them up, we decided to do a little scouting of the perimeter. Now, this is what we used to do in the old days, too. We'd walk the area around a little bit, just to make sure some dude's house wasn't just over a hill and we weren't actually camping in their yard. We walked maybe 100 feet or so into the woods and up a small incline. We figured if we didn't see anything from on top of this short hill that we'd be fine. But when we got to the top, we saw an old building down at the bottom, about 100 yards into the woods. It was barely visible. We pondered over what to do. We both assumed it was a sugar shack or something because there didn't appear to be a clear road into it. From where we were, there didn't look to be anyone in it either. All was quiet. No movement could be seen. No lights. We decided to walk a little closer just to make sure. We came down the hill very slowly, and as we neared the building, we saw it wasn't a sugar shack at all. It was an old church.
No
It looked like it
church.
had been abandoned for years. It was a squat, sagging building whose wooden planks were almost black from years of moss and rot. A cross still stood on top of the place, also weathered black.
Oh shit. Hi.
None of the windows had glass, and there were no doors, just open doorways. We got close enough to see inside. There were rows of pews and a built-up section in front for a preacher to stand. We didn't go all the way in. I mean, we didn't want to. Beyond all that, there was was no sign of anyone else. No footprints, no
How?
paths, no roads. It was an abandoned church.
It's just an abandoned church in the middle of
Went
nowhere.
back up the hill to our spot we had picked to camp. Having a hill between us and the church made us feel better, but we were still a little uneasy. We chalked it up to the natural creepiness seeing a church in the middle of the woods would elicit. Besides, at this point it was dusk, and we just decided to rig up our hammocks, go to sleep, and move on at early morning. Night set in, and as we lay in our hammocks and shot the shit, we began to hear something in the direction of the church. Our conversation about it went a little like this. Do you hear that? The hell is that? Sounds like people singing. And it did sound just like singing. We both slid right out of our hammocks and hunkered down, straining to hear more. We listened for a minute or two when the singing continued, but it wasn't getting louder. Finally, we decided to creep back up the hill and see if we could spy where the sound was coming from. We could still move very quietly in the woods from the old days. It was second nature to us. The moon was barely out, but it provided enough light so you wouldn't walk right into a tree. But it was near pitch black. We didn't use flashlights as we crept slowly up the hill, and we didn't talk. When we got to the top, we saw light in the distance. It was coming from the church, and the singing was coming from inside. Joe and I put our heads close together and had a hushed conversation that boiled down to, can you believe this shit? The light looked to be candlelight from the way it flickered, and though we tried, we couldn't make out what was being sung. It sounded like church music, but in another language. We sat and watched for a while, trying to see who was in there, but we only saw occasional shadows. We had no intention of getting closer either. We had about a football field length between us, and we aimed to keep it that way. The singing continued for a bit, and then it just stopped. After that, a very loud male voice began to chant. I was already freaked out, but this voice thoroughly scared the hell out of me. It sounded like some Old Testament preacher you see in movies.
It's
But
okay,
again,
corpse.
it was like he was speaking in a different language because we couldn't understand a single word. Eventually, it got to where the single male voice would say something, and then a bunch of voices would answer in song. This lasted for a while, and then they all broke into this long, sustained wail that just kept getting louder. It got so loud and so disturbing that I covered my ears. Then it stopped. At this point, I was just getting ready to say, let's get the hell out of here, when Joe put a hand on my shoulder and hissed, they're coming out. We were far enough away that we couldn't make them out really well, but what we could see was a line of figures walk out the open doorway, all holding hands in single file. We could see some of them had flashlights. They began to sing again, and the light from the flashlights began to move toward us and the hill. We booked it back down to our campsite, grabbed our shit, and ran to the tracks. Once there, we ran down the tracks in the direction we had came from. After a few minutes, we stopped and looked back. We saw lights coming down the hill. They were moving erratically, like whoever was holding them was shaking them. We continued to run in spurts and walk as fast as we could. We eventually stopped seeing the lights and came to a road. By our map, we knew a small town was about 15 minutes down it, and we walked there, got to a 24-hour gas station, and called my wife to come get us. My wife and other friends all just thought it was some kids messing around, but I heard those voices, and they sure as hell didn't sound like kids to me. I'm not sure who those people were, but it was definitely the creepiest thing that happened to me out in the woods.
Damn. Yep, that was hella good. 9 out of 10. Number 2.
I'll start by saying I have a terrible biological father. He's been a shady person all my life and constantly caused me a lot of grief. This is just one of those examples. When I was 4, my parents split up. My mother and I moved states, and they agreed I would visit my dad every school holiday for a week. This one particular time, I had been with him for a few days when I was playing with my cousin at a nearby park. A car pulled up, and I recognized the man as one of my dad's friends. He called me over, and without thinking, I ran over to him and left my cousin at the park.
Why?
He asked me if I could show him where my dad lived, and I agreed and got in his car. I gave directions and didn't notice at all that they weren't following them correctly. Looking back, I didn't completely really know the way anyhow. After way too long, I did realize that we were getting closer to the city, which is far from my dad's house. We really started to feel unsafe then. I mainly remember two girls passed out with their tops off, and a much older man was feeling them up everywhere. I made eye contact with this man and he made me sick to my stomach. I had definitely figured out that this was a bad situation by this point. A lady took me to a
The
bench
dad's
and
friend
brought
is a
me
rapist.
sandwich.
Yeah.
The bread was stale and I wasn't hungry, but I ate it all because I felt bad for her, which doesn't what I was thinking about.
Huh?
The lady told me a lot of things I didn't understand, but when she left, I remember thinking my dad was coming to pick me up soon. Then I fell asleep, waiting for him. I wet the bed that night, and no one came to see me the next day until I cried very loudly and banged on the door. The lady came back and yelled at me for sticking up. I asked about my dad. She said he was coming tonight after he finished work. She didn't offer me a shower or a bath, so I sat in my soiled pants all day. After that, everything turned into a blur, really. My dad didn't come that night, and I was so terrified. In my head, I felt like I was there for months. I thought I was missing school and everyone had forgotten about me. In reality, I was there for 5 days. They let me take one shower. I don't remember eating much except for boring sandwiches, and I had chips and gravy maybe once. Finally, my mom drove across the country to come and get me. After not being able to get a hold of me or my dad for so long, and then me missing my pre-booked flight home, she panicked and came looking for me. Thank God she did. She found my dad at his girlfriend's house, methed out, completely hiding out.
That's
Turns
out.
He owed a lot of drug money to the people who had taken me.
Oh, let
They
me turn
told
this
him that
stupid
they
shit
had
off.
me, but he couldn't afford it, or didn't want me back. Whatever it was, he didn't bother to try to get me back. My amazing mom paid his debt for him after borrowing from a lot of people, and she came to get me back. I remember when someone came into that room and told me my mom was there, and I walked out and I could smell her. It was the best feeling to feel safe again. She took me home, and I didn't see my dad again for a long time. She never called the police. My parents' relationship was very complicated then, and I fully understand the choices she made. Anyways, I'm definitely okay now. I've spoken about this in therapy, and I've come to terms with most of the things that I went through as a child. But still, a very messed up situation for a 4-year-old girl to have to be in. So to my dad's friend, the sandwich lady, and even to my dad himself, I hope I never meet you again.
Hey, yo, bro. I don't even know what to think about that one. That's fucked. So pretty much, they were kidnapped for 5 days by the dad's friend. The dad was methed out. Sandwich lady was a sandwich lady. And motherfucking guy was just weird. Damn. Oh, this is the third story. Play the part by Staring Bod.
A few years ago, I was renting a house in Northern California.
Oh
The
shit.
neighborhood was just outside the suburbs. It seemed like the perfect balance of having space and also having nice neighbors close enough to not feel isolated. The area had no streetlights, so it was very dark at night, especially if there were clouds blocking the moonlight. It didn't bother me though. It made my little house feel even more quaint on dark nights. I got home from work one day in midwinter. It was a cloudy night, so pulling up to my house, I saw only what my headlights and front porch light illuminated. When I got out of my car, I caught a whiff of cigarette smoke. That was odd, as I had never smelled that before around that house. I didn't see anyone nearby, so I just ignored it and went inside. I had just got off a shift with a few hours overtime, so I felt pretty tired. Even though it wasn't even 7 yet, I decided to take a shower and just call it a night. I woke up sometime later, sure that I had heard a noise inside my house.
Alright, hold on, time out. I just gotta see if it actually is picking it up.
I woke up sometime later, sure that I had heard a noise inside my house.
Alright, hold on, time out. It kinda is. Shit, okay.
I wasn't worried right away because my friend would sometimes stop by to use my shower after work on his way to his night classes.
Oh
I
shit,
even
hello.
gave him a spare key so he could stop by even if I wasn't home. And he would always text me to let me know beforehand though. And
Hey.
I hadn't heard my phone go off. I reached over to my bedside table and picked up my cell phone upstairs by the time I had opened the door and stepped inside. The house had 3 rooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms on either side of the hallway, the one I was in and a spare, and a bathroom at the end. The bedroom doors were both locked, but the bathroom door was cracked open. I heard whoever was in my house thunder down the hallway past my door and into the bathroom. Thank God he did. That gave me just enough time to open the attic access in the ceiling of my closet and hoist myself up. I had just started to lift myself up when the person ran back out of the bathroom. My feet were barely inside of the attic when my bedroom door burst open. I heard footsteps run into my room and stop. When they didn't see me in that room, they ran back to the hallway and into the other room, which just had boxes stacked in a corner. I guess they decided that if someone were hiding...
Guys, I'm gonna go bathroom real quick, but I'm gonna leave this on, so you guys can probably hear it still. Come on.
It would be in the bedroom because they charged back into my room and turned on the light. A moment later, the closet door was ripped open. I was crouched in my attic just a foot or so away from the access so I could try to stop them if they started to climb up. From my vantage point, all I could see was from about their knee down. They were wearing dirty blue jeans with frayed cuffs and worn work boots. After a few seconds of looking in the closet, they stepped away and I heard a loud crash come from my room, followed by a scream of frustration and anger. That scream was the most unnerving part of the incident for me. It reminded me far too much of my stepfather, who would scream in a similar way when he lost his temper. He would eventually be put in a mental hospital for several mental disorders that resulted in erratic and violent tendencies. The man in my house ran back down the stairs. I heard crashes and clatters as things were thrown around and furniture was knocked over. I stayed crouched in the attic. I had left my cell phone when I ran for the closet, and I wasn't certain I could climb down without him hearing. After some time, the noises stopped. I started counting slowly. When I reached 1,000, I decided it was safe enough to climb down and call the police. The first thing I noticed when I exited the closet was the intruder had flipped my bed over, I assume in an attempt to find me. That was the noise I had heard after he stepped away from the closet. I couldn't find my cell phone, so I went to the landline by the bed and called the police. I waited in my room until I heard them call out from downstairs. The first floor was a mess, but I had expected that. Chairs had been knocked over, the sofa had been flipped. All the books, pictures, and knickknacks I had on my shelves were strewn across the floor. The cupboards in the kitchen had been opened and all the boxed and canned foods had been thrown to the ground. As far as I could tell, though, the only thing missing was a single knife out of the wooden block in my kitchen. The police checked the house from top to bottom. They found that the side door had been forced open by something like a crowbar. They also found a few cigarette butts along my fence line, along with some foil and an empty pen tube, which the police said people often use to smoke meth, so they think he had been watching my house for a while. I realized that he must have been out there smoking a cigarette when I got home. They collected up the evidence and told me I should stay with family or friends that night and get that door fixed as soon as possible. I opted to just not sleep. I moved the shelf over to block the broken door and spent the next couple hours cleaning things up. I would often go to the window with a flashlight and shine it along the fence line where the police found the cigarette butts and foil, but I didn't see anything. The next day, I called to have the door fixed and motion lights installed in the back and sides of my house. I ran a phone cable up into the attic and added a landline. I never wanted to be stuck up there without a phone again. Nothing else happened at the house, though. I lived there another 3 years without incident. One more precaution I took was practicing getting out of my bed, going to my closet, and climbing into the attic as quickly and quietly as possible. I even kept at it when I moved. Except now I go to a crawl space at the back of the closet instead of the attic. I try not to think about what would have happened if I had been a bit slower getting into the attic, or if he hadn't gone into the bathroom at the end of the hall first. Thanks for watching, and please follow me on Twitter or Instagram so that I don't completely die out when YouTube inevitably kills my channel for not being consistent. Stay safe and have a good day.
I'm scared. Nah, we're gonna react to more. Ooh, very scary.
First, a little background information.
Yep.
I worked the night shift at a local gas station when I was 19. I was the only employee in the store, as usual. On Christmas Eve, I had to work the overnight, 10 p.m. into 6 a.m. into Christmas Day. It was a normal night. No customers, and my cleaning was almost finished. I had just got done eating and decided to go out for a smoke when I hear someone walking towards the store in the distance. Now, this was nothing out of the ordinary until the person gets to the pumps and I can actually see them. It was a male, about 5'9" and somewhat thin. He was wearing a dark hoodie and jeans and was carrying a gift bag. As he got closer, though, I noticed that he was bleeding from his forehead. As he approached me, I asked if he was okay and if he needed any help. I noticed that the bag was empty, which should have been my first red flag. The guy looked me in the eyes, looking dead inside, and said, "You want to help? Then don't call the fucking cops."
Sucker. Listen, I'ma call the cops. If your ass is bleeding from the motherfucking head, I'm calling cops or ambulance, somebody. Cause Jesus Christ, I don't want you bleeding all over my goddamn property. Fucking.
I agreed and told him that there was a first aid kit inside and that I'd be happy to help him with his wound. Crazy, I know, but I was just trying to be nice to him since he was someone who could be a threat to me. We went inside the store and I got the first aid kit. As I pulled out the stuff for him to clean himself up with, he said he needed to use the restroom and once again told me not to call the cops. I told myself that if he wasn't out of the bathroom within a reasonable amount of time, I was going to call the police. He didn't come out, so I went outside and called. The dispatcher told me to stay out of the store and find somewhere safe to be until the officers arrived. I stood at the side of the store where he wouldn't be able to see me, but I could see if he came out of the bathroom. He never came out. The police arrived and asked where he was. I pointed and they went in. Just as they got to the door, he opened it and tried to lunge at one of the officers. They tackled him, threw a knife that he was holding, and promptly arrested him. As they were walking him out of the store, he told me that he was lucky that the police got there when they did, and that he'd see me again soon. I was a little shook by that.
Oh hell nah, cops throw them out. Let me fucking swear up.
The other took the guy away. I told the officer what had all happened, and then I asked something I really wish I didn't know the answer to. What was he doing in the bathroom?
Drugs.
The officer told me that it was a good thing that I called when I did, because the guy had shot up some heroin in the bathroom that was going to come out with a knife and stab me and run with what money was in the register. That's what the bag was for. This guy had a lot of problems and a lot of anger inside of him. The reason he was so angry was also the reason his head was bleeding. He owed his dealer money and got beat because of it. His solution to the problem was robbing the store. The officer told me if I didn't call when I did, I'd either be critically wounded or dead because he wasn't going to allow me to stand between him and that money. I hope I never see that crazy drug addict who wanted to kill me to free himself of debt again.
Hell's nah. That was number one. What the? Number two.
I went to the bar with one of my friends. I had just turned 21, so I haven't been to many bars up to that point.
Hey.
My friend was drinking on the way to the bar, so he was already pretty drunk when we got there.
Yep.
When I sat at the bar, a cute girl came and talked to me and my friend.
Really?
She said her name was Candace, and I noticed she had really, really bright red hair.
Yep.
I assume she dyed it. I mean, it was pretty, but unnatural. Anyways, the girl was flirting with me and my friend.
Ooh.
She could tell my friend was already very drunk. To be honest, I played along like I was drunk already too, since it seemed to be working for my friend. I didn't know if she was just trying to get free drinks, so I told her we didn't have much money. She then offered to buy us drinks. She kept buying us drinks, and I started to get confused as to who she liked between me and my friend. My friend went to the bathroom. Before he came back, he was kicked out by the bouncers. He was way too drunk. Candace and I went outside with him. She kept telling him to go home with her. He was so out of it, he could barely answer her. I told her he was too drunk and that I couldn't let him go anywhere. I didn't want him to wake up hungover in some random house with no car and no idea what happened. Candace kept pushing it, saying that she would take good care of him, but I told her no because I had to stay with him. I was more sober than him, and he was my responsibility. I told her the only way he was going anywhere was if I tagged along. I assumed she thought I was jealous or
Threesome.
cock-blocking, but my friend could barely stand and lost interest in Candace already at that point. She immediately started flirting with me and offered to get my friend a taxi to drive home, and said we could go to her place alone. At this point, I had a few drinks and I was already buzzed, so I agreed. We took my friend to the taxi and walked to her car. I slightly stumbled on the way to her car.
Wow, you're pretty drunk, huh?
She said, smiling as she held onto my arm. Yeah, I said. I don't know why, but I just felt slightly shy and anxious. Everything was just happening too easy for me, so I felt uneasy. We got in her car and we drove down the street.
Want to stop at the liquor store and get some more to drink? I'll buy it, so don't worry about paying.
She offered.
Nah.
I didn't want to drink any more than I already did. I mean, I was already buzzed and wanted to be able to carry myself throughout the rest of the night. Sometimes I made myself look stupid when I'm drunk, so I didn't want to ruin anything with Candace more than I already did earlier with telling her my friend was too drunk. I told her I was already drunk enough, but she insisted. I didn't want to seem lame, so I told her to give me a pint of liquor with some apple juice to chase it. She went into the store and came out with a lot more than just a pint. I assumed she wanted to drink more also, and that's why she got a fifth instead of a pint. On the car ride, we passed the bottle back and forth, but she took tiny sips. I tried to take tiny sips, but she kept passing me the bottle and telling me to drink. I somehow managed to drink all of my apple juice, and I pretend to drink the bottle by spitting the liquor into the apple juice bottle. I tossed the apple juice bottle full of liquor out the window before she even saw it. I didn't want her to know that I was acting drunker than I was. I mean, she actually believed I was sloppy drunk when I was simply buzzed. I took a couple more sips of liquor and then finished the bottle. Throughout the car ride, I called her the wrong name a couple of times to get a reaction out of her. She didn't react to it. She just kept letting me call her Carla without correcting me.
Who the fuck is Carla?
For some reason, I thought maybe she lied to me about her name initially. We drove up to her house, and I pretended to trip and stumble into her front door. She helped me walk inside by holding me up. She opened her front door, which was unlocked, and we walked into her house. She closed her front door and then she locked it. I thought that was strange, but assumed she didn't want anyone walking in on us. I told her that I had to use the bathroom. I walked into her bathroom, locked the door, and looked in the mirror. I just felt strange. I felt like something was off. I felt myself becoming more drunk from finishing the bottle earlier. I turned on the sink to make noise and made myself puke up the liquor I drank. I flushed, went to the sink, and started drinking the tap water out of my hands to sober up. I just didn't want to be drunk, but I still wanted to hook up with Candace, so I pretended to be drunk. I turned off the sink and I could hear her talking to someone.
He's drunk as hell. He can barely stand up. You do it.
Who was she talking to and do what? I walked into the bathroom and into the living room. The moment I stepped into the living room, I saw her walking into another room. All I could see was the back of her head, that strange, very bright red hair go into another room. I didn't see her face or anything. I just saw her kind of walk fast into the room. The living room was pretty dark. Hey, where are you going? I slurred like I was drunk. She walked back into the dark living room and up to me.
Let's go in my room.
She said.
How about no?
I looked at her bright red hair, and then into her eyes. They were different. Her whole face was different. It was another girl with the same hair, and that's when I realized it was another girl with the same wig on. It was a wig the whole time. She changed it with the girl from earlier for whatever reason. My heart felt like it stopped.
It's a dude, it's a voice changer, boy. Don't do it. You fucking idiot.
I kind of smiled at her and told her I needed to use the bathroom one more time and told her sorry I was so drunk. She said,
It's fine, just hurry up in there.
I went into the bathroom and locked the door. I heard her whisper something to someone again. This time I think I heard a male voice whisper back. I honestly didn't concentrate on listening to exactly what she said, but something sketchy was going on, and I had to get out of that house. I opened the bathroom window and jumped straight out of it and ran faster than I ever have in my entire life. I didn't look behind myself or anything. I just ran straight through the backyard, jumped the fence, ran through someone else's backyard, hit a road, and ran towards the main road. I kept running running down the main road until I saw a Star CVS. I ran into the CVS and stood straight at the front of the store in front of the camera. I called a taxi and went home. I tried to think of what happened that night. What was she or they planning that night? Why did she tell me a fake name? Why was she trying to get my friend and I so drunk? I thought maybe a robbery, but she kept spending money on us. She kept buying us drinks and even paid for my friend's taxi cab. And mostly, why did she wear a wig that she gave to another girl to wear? Who was she talking to? What did it mean? And what was in that room they tried to lure me into? The next day after this incident, I went back to the house with a couple of friends to see just what was going on. Nobody was there. No cars, no people, nothing. Just an empty house. I ended up finding out that the house was a summer rental. And whoever those people were, they broke into the house and used it for only that night and never came back. Anyways, that's my story.
Yo, I just got goosebumps. I get those goosebumps every time. No, but for a holy shit. Look at my character. He's fucking shitting himself right now. Yo. Alright. One more story and then I'm ending this video. Because it's like 9. I want to go to sleep. Number 4.
It was about 3 in the morning and I was on my way to my job at my local McDonald's to open with one of my favorite managers there with me. She told me to text her when I got there so that she could let me inside. Once I pulled in, I noticed a man standing outside of his car in the farthest corner of the parking lot. He was shooting me this sort of menacing stare. Let me point out that it's completely pouring outside. I was really confused as to why this guy wasn't just sitting in his car. I then parked and texted my manager to let me inside. Seconds later, I noticed her at the door opening it for me. Upon walking up to her, I say my usual good morning. I was stopped mid-sentence by her rushing me inside and saying, "Did you see that guy outside?" I told her yes, and she proceeded to help me refill sauces, napkins, and things like that. My manager then told me that she's going to check the security tapes just to make sure that everything during the period that the restaurant was closed was okay. Minutes later, my manager called.
Bro, that fucking chick sounds like a dude. Yeah, bro. What the fuck? So, McDonald's hunted assholes trying to rob. Alright, makes sense.
Me into her office for whatever reason. She told me to look at the screen, and it showed that the same man was standing outside. The time was 12:47. She then fast-forwarded the tape to reveal that the man had been standing outside the entire time up until now. And at this point, it's about 3:50 a.m. I ran to the front lobby and I noticed him still standing over by his car. I figured, or was hoping, that he was probably just on something and he was waiting for us to open so that maybe he could get breakfast. I resumed filling sauces again and making sure everything was in working order, until I was abruptly interrupted by banging at the front door. I walked over and noticed a figure right outside the front door. It was the man. I yelled that we were closed and that he would have to come back later. That didn't seem to faze him as he continued to bang on the door. I walked away, figuring that he was just being an asshole, when suddenly I heard a loud crash. I ran to the lobby to see the glass door broken and the man beginning to step inside.
Oh shit.
I yelled for my manager and told her that we needed to leave through the back door. And we did just that. We booked into our cars and both called the cops. They arrived in about 15 minutes and came outside the restaurant with a dirty-looking man in cuffs. They said he was hiding in the back janitor's closet with a large knife in his hand. So that's my story, and also the reason I'm never working early mornings again.
Yo, time.
There's nothing out of the ordinary.
No, shut up.
About 5
God
minutes though.
damn it, this shit's confusing. Alright. Where is it? I know I didn't go that fucking far. Hold on. Alright, so this is a story animated. This motherfucker has the Joker's scars. He has one good eye, one bad eye. He is constantly smiling and his fucking leg was broken. I am fucking scared. Holy shit. Alright, well, that's the end of this video. Yeah. Look at my character. He's scared shitless. And it's the morning. Fuck, hold on. Let me go get some some things in my eyes. Fuck, okay. I know there's no audio right now on the game, but I'll turn that shit on when I'm done recording. It's copyright. Alright. See, look, if I had a gun, I would have been fucking perfect. Whatever. Fuck. For fuck's sake. Alright, whatever. Thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, nobody watched, but if you're watching later, like in the future, thank you for watching. If you want, subscribe, leave a like, let me know in the comments if I should do more videos like this, where I just like listen to the audio, and you guys also listen to it, and you get my reactions. Cause as soon as I get to 100 subscribers and a fucking PS cam, you know damn well I'm doing one of these videos again, so you can see my actual reaction, instead of just hearing my fucking voice. Yep. Alright. Well, thank you guys so much for watching again, and I'm scared. I'm gonna die, and it's raining for fuck's sake. Haters.
Large knife in his hand. So that's my story, and also the reason I'm never working early mornings again.
Oh, by the way, what's that? Just want me to finish the rest of this whole video. It's a 32-minute video. I'm at 13 minutes, so that's like another 40 minutes. No, not even 40 minutes. 20-something minutes. Let me know. And I'll do it. Yep. Later, boys.